I am committed to pursuing accountability for the Secret Service's failure in Butler, Pennsylvania. But let me be clear. If policy violations by Secret Service personnel are identified by the agency's Mission Assurance Review, those individuals will be held accountable. And they will be held accountable to our fair and thorough disciplinary process. The first part of that process is an investigation to identify whether policy violations occurred.
So the Secret Service actually and finally decided to apologize for the events that took place on July 13th. This event that's going to change history. We're going to see this picture in history books for years and even decades to come. This particular situation is amazing. Are we actually surprised that they're apologizing now? Perhaps we are. I don't know. How do you feel about it? Do you think it is timely that they're apologizing now? The Secret Service took a while to investigate something that we, you and I, have seen over and over again, believing that it was very simple to secure a building and no one decided to secure that building. It doesn't make any sense. My name is Andrew Alliance. If you haven't done so already, please make sure you like and subscribe. I cover news and politics here on this channel. And I want to bring back to your remembrance an event that took place 8 years ago. This event took place where Marc Maron was interviewing Barack Obama in his garage. Do you remember that? Do you remember that event? And it was about an hour podcast. I believe around that time, it was the first time a president was doing a podcast with someone, I guess that openly. It was national news, right? But I want you to hear how difficult it was to secure the president of the United States at the time, Barack Obama, in Marc Maron's garage. I want you to hear from Marc Maron when he had the conversation with Jimmy Fallon, how difficult it was to secure the subject.
And there were some funny moments because Secret Service, like I have a 2-bedroom house, but there's a lot of territory around it. It's on a hill and there's a lot of homes. And I asked the Secret Service guy, I go, this must be a pain for you guys to secure this much of a parameter. And he's like, no, it's nothing. We were at Tyler Perry's the other day. That was crazy. I'm like, well, that's relieving that my home could fit into Tyler, his hallway.
It was pretty difficult, right? It was overwhelmingly difficult. It was an incredible task to secure the president of the United States at the time, Barack Obama, to record a podcast in Marc Maron's garage. I know I'm being silly here, but it's interesting to see that we finally got an apology or an accountability report, if you want to call it that, from the Secret Service director. This event goes back, the Trump Assassination attempt. Okay. This goes back to July 13th, and we're at the beginning of the month of August. And now we're hearing a documented report of what we're supposed to believe. This is what we're supposed to believe that took place on that day. And this is the accountability that they're taking for this event that cost someone their life, right? We've seen that. But my thing is, the question still remains, was this staged for this amazing photo op that we're going to see for years to come? Some people say, well, how could you say that? Someone passed away. Other people got injured. But what was the point of that for right before the RNC? I mean, you have to think about the timing of it all. You have to think about all those things. Take those things into consideration. I want to show you a little bit of the Secret Service responsibility, taking full responsibility, accountability, apology. I don't know what you want to call it. I'll play a little bit of that.
The assassination attempt of former President Donald Trump was a dark day for our country. I again extend my deepest sympathies to the family of Corey Comparator and sincere wishes for a swift recovery for Mr. Copenhaver and Mr. Dutch. The Secret Service takes full responsibility for the tragic events of July 13th.
Okay, so you have to do that. Because what else are you going to do? What else are you going to do? This is formalities, but let's listen.
This was a mission failure. The sole responsibility of our agency is to make sure our protectees are never put in danger.
So now remember in the beginning of this video, or somewhere in the beginning of this video, I don't know why I'm pointing this way, like this is the beginning. I showed you a clip of Marc Maron speaking to Jimmy Fallon about how easy it was to secure the perimeter during that time. So
We fell short of that in Butler, and I'm working to make sure that this failure does not happen again. I'm focused on ensuring that the full resources of the Secret Service are utilized to safeguard our protectees, and I've implemented and will continue to implement changes to ensure that that happens.
Okay, and I hope they do that, right? So I don't really believe anything that happens anymore, and I think that this is not recent for me. This is not recent for me. I'm just being a little bit vocal now. If you haven't subscribed yet, please make sure you do so. I'm being a little bit more vocal now. Ever since the Snowden stuff and Julian Assange stuff, I've been kind of changing a little bit when it comes to the stuff that's presented to us, the stuff that we're supposed to believe, the accounts of the events that we're supposed to believe, how they actually took place. I don't know. I guess I'm leaning towards the conspiracy theory stuff, right? Or is it that?
We are, and we will continue to cooperate with pending oversight investigations of the July 13th failure being done now by Congress, the Department of Homeland Security's Office of the Inspector General, and the independent review directed by President Biden. Additionally, the Secret Service's Office of Professional Responsibility is currently conducting a mission assurance review.
Mission assurance for something that was blatantly obvious to the American people, looking at not only the person that did the attempt, because I don't know if we still know the actual weapon. I know they said AR-15. Was it confirmed AR-15? Was it confirmed the amount of rounds? I know he kind of mentioned that later. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I definitely want you to check it out. So there's a lot of things that we're still waiting for. How are the parents tied into this? Are the parents going to be penalized for this event to take place? How fast do the Secret Service have to act to get to a place where the entire place is secure? From what I understand, it's days in advance, maybe weeks in advance. From what I understand, based on what Marc Maron has said, to Jimmy Fallon, and that clip, I think that clip is 4 minutes long. I only played a couple of seconds of that. But there's a lot that goes into securing a subject wherever they decide to go around the world, or if they're just traveling within the states that they're in, like, in America. There's a lot that goes into that. And for that to be such a disaster, and for former soldiers to not necessarily want to say disaster, clear incompetence, right? And the entire operation, right? I don't know if Operation America, Operation MAGA, I don't know what they're going to call this particular operation, because there's been different operations that has been taking place throughout history. Operation Midnight Climax, I think, is an operation. Operation. I have a list of them. I may start listing them at some point, but there's so many different operations that has taken place. Some that we are aware of. The false flag one is interesting to me, which has happened throughout history. So there's a lot to take in here. This is not just one event. This is an event that was supposed to do something, right? If the intent was to miss, right, then what else are we supposed to get out from this event?
As I stated, I'm not waiting for the completion of those reports, and I've directed the Secret Service to take immediate steps to ensure our protectees are indeed safe.
Now, what's interesting with that statement, he's not waiting for the completion of the reports, but it seemed like they were waiting for a long time to even give us what is absolutely obvious ever since we saw the particular clip. You had individuals talking about if it was staged. You had individuals talking about how he was able to scale that roof, just scaling a roof. Why were the authorities on the inside of that building that he scaled and not on the outside to stop him? There are certain things that are already common sense that we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks. And, this is, formalities.
And I will summarize those steps in a moment. I am committed to pursuing accountability for the Secret Service's failure in Butler, Pennsylvania. But let me be clear. If policy violations by Secret Service personnel are identified by the agency's mission assurance review, those individuals will be held accountable. And they will be held accountable to our fair and thorough disciplinary process. The first part of that process is an investigation to identify whether policy violations occurred. Potential policy violations are referred to our Office of Integrity, and appropriate discipline is administered under our table of penalties.
I'll be surprised if this is the only update we get. Or should I say, I'll be surprised if we get additional updates after this apology because of how big of a disaster this is. But I want to hear your thoughts. Do you think that this was timely or not timely? We definitely want to hear your thoughts on that. Please make sure you watch this video right here. And until next time, take care.